exposing the dark side of living on a cruise ship in 2025. So, you've been binge-watching all the cruise vlogs, right? You see people out there living their absolute best life, floating from island to island, no chores, no commute, just sunsets and soft serve. And maybe now you're thinking, could you actually live on a cruise ship full-time? Before you start selling your furniture and listing your house, hold on. Because today we're talking about the truth behind that dreamy lifestyle. This isn't the glamour shot version. This is the real, raw, and sometimes surprising downsides of living full-time on a cruise ship. Don't get me wrong, cruise life has its perks. But if you're seriously thinking about making that leap, you need to hear all of this first. And I promise, stick around, because later in the video, we'll also talk about why the freedom and joy might just outweigh every one of these challenges. Let's start with what might make you pause. Hard. Number 1. The tiny living reality. Let's be real. Cruise cabins are small. And I'm not just talking New York studio apartment small. I mean, if you take your current bedroom, chop it in half, and then try to fit a queen-sized bed, your suitcase, a closet, a couple of drawers, and your everyday essentials into that space. It's tight. Living on a cruise ship means learning to live with less, way less. If you're not already a minimalist, this can be a huge adjustment, and it's not just the sleeping area. The bathrooms? Those are next-level small. Think airplane lavatory, maybe slightly upgraded. Sometimes, stepping into the shower feels like a game of human Tetris. You kind of have to turn sideways, shimmy in, and try not to hit your elbow on the soap dish. Now imagine doing that every day for weeks, even months. It's manageable, but it's not glamorous. You start to realize how much space we take for granted on land. Closet space, counter space, the ability to stretch out without knocking something over. None of that exists on board. If you're seriously considering cruise ship life, practice living out of one small room and one small suitcase for a few weeks. That'll give you a taste. Number 2, the noise you can't escape. If you're thinking that life on a cruise ship means quiet evenings with the sound of the ocean rocking you to sleep, sometimes, yes. But a lot of the time, not at all. Cruise ship cabins are cozy, but the walls are practically made of paper. It's not uncommon to hear your neighbors, like really hear your neighbors. You could be in a cabin where you hear the guy next door snoring through the wall, and it wouldn't be just a soft hum. It'd sound like a sound system set to low volume, coming straight through the drywall. And if you're near a high traffic area, like under the pool deck, near a stairwell, or close to a venue that hosts nightly karaoke or shows, you're going to know it. You'll hear the dragging of deck chairs early in the morning. You'll hear music thumping late into the night. Sometimes, you'll hear arguments. Sometimes, you'll hear other activities. You get what I'm saying? There's a lot happening on cruise ships 24/7, and unless you're in one of the high-end suites, you're not soundproofed from it. It's not the end of the world, but it does take getting used to. If you're a light sleeper or someone who needs quiet to recharge, this is something you need to take seriously. Travel with earplugs, a white noise app, or consider choosing a cabin location away from high-traffic areas. But if you're not ready to deal with that kind of sensory chaos, cruise living might test your patience. Number 3, the constant people factor. Now, this one's a mixed bag, depending on your personality. If you're more on the introverted side, you probably love your quiet moments. You don't mind being around people, but you definitely need your alone time. On a cruise ship, that alone time is hard to come by. You're in shared spaces constantly. Elevators, dining rooms, pool decks, lounges. Even if you choose a table for one, the staff will often chat with you. Guests will say hello. Strangers will strike up conversations while waiting for a drink or sitting at a show. It's part of the cruise culture. Everyone's in a good mood, and it's normal for people to be friendly. That's great if you're a social butterfly. But if you're more private or someone who doesn't always feel like talking, it can feel like you're constantly on. There's no real place to hide unless you lock yourself in your cabin, and even then, there's a good chance someone will knock on the door for housekeeping or a routine check. And the thing is, it's not just occasional interaction, it's repetition. If you meet a couple at breakfast, you might see them again at lunch, at trivia, at the show, in the elevator, and again on the pool deck. It's like a floating neighborhood where you run into the same folks every day. So if the idea of endless small talk wears you down, this is definitely something to think about before committing to life at sea. Number 4, the motion of the ocean. If you've ever been on a cruise before, you've probably felt that gentle rocking of the ship. And maybe you found it kind of relaxing. But when you're living on a ship full-time, that motion becomes your everyday reality. And it's not always gentle. Depending on where the ship is sailing, what the weather's doing, and even which part of the ship you're in, that soothing sway can turn into a full-on wobble. There might be nights where you're trying to sleep and it feels like the whole room is shifting side to side. One moment you're brushing your teeth, the next, your balance is gone, and you're grabbing the wall like you're on a moving subway train. If you're at the front or the back of the ship, that movement is stronger. Even the middle of the ship isn't immune when the seas are rough. And then there's seasickness. Some people never get it. Some people only get it once in a while. But others? It hits them like a truck. And you won't know which group you're in until you've sailed a few times. It's a good idea to try a few cruises in different seasons, especially during rougher times like hurricane season, before deciding to live on a ship full-time. Because if motion sickness is a regular thing for you, this lifestyle becomes a lot less magical and a lot more uncomfortable. Number 5. The reality of the price tag. Here's the part that surprises a lot of people. This lifestyle is not always the budget-friendly dream that social media makes it out to be. Yes, you can find deals. Yes, you can cruise on a budget. But when you add up the full year, every cruise fare, every gratuity, every tax and port fee, it adds up fast. Living in an interior cabin, the most affordable option, still can run you anywhere from $80,000 to over $100,000 per year depending on the cruise line and your itinerary. And that's before we talk about extras. Wi-Fi packages, specialty dining, drinks, souvenirs, laundry, excursions, they all cost extra. You might start with a budget, but it's easy to go over it. One month, you might think you're keeping it tight, and then check your statement and see $800 in extras just from little things adding up. A specialty coffee here, a cocktail there, a few laundry charges, a couple of spa treatments. It happens fast. If you're considering full-time cruising, it becomes your cost of living. And it's a lot harder to cut corners when you can't just cook a meal at home or skip eating out. Everything is right there, and everything comes at a price. Number 6. Healthcare hurdles. Let's talk healthcare. Cruise ships do have medical centers, and for basic stuff, that's great. But it isn't cheap. A simple visit for something like an ear infection could cost you $150 or more, not counting any meds or follow-ups. And if you have pre-existing conditions that require regular visits to a specialist, this lifestyle might not be the best fit unless you plan your ship hopping around land-based appointments. It's important to also consider emergency care. Cruise ships can get you stabilized, but if something major happens, you may need to be evacuated to the nearest hospital, which can be wildly expensive. If you're seriously looking at this lifestyle, research travel medical insurance that covers emergencies, medevac, and out-of-country care. It might not be glamorous, but it's crucial. Number 7. Wi-Fi problems. Cruise Wi-Fi has come a long way, but it's still not perfect. If you need reliable high-speed internet for work, streaming, or frequent video calls, it might test your patience. About 75% of the time, it's solid. But that other 25%? Frustration City. You might find yourself staring at the spinning circle of doom while trying to load an email or a social media post. Wi-Fi packages also add to your monthly budget, and even after paying, don't expect land-like speeds. If staying connected is a major part of your lifestyle, make sure you research the internet quality of different cruise lines before you commit to one long-term. Number 8. Short-term friendships. This is something not many people think about. Life on a cruise ship is transient. Passengers change weekly, sometimes even more frequently. That means making lasting friendships can be tough. You might meet someone great, bond over a few dinners or excursions, and then suddenly, they're gone. Off to their next destination. Back to their real life. Yes, you can exchange numbers or follow each other on social media. Some friendships might last. But if you thrive on deep, consistent relationships, the nature of cruise life could feel a little lonely at times. The connections can be meaningful, but they're often fleeting. It's just something to be aware of. Number 9. Emotional loneliness. Cruise life can be freeing and exciting, but it can also be isolating. You're surrounded by people, but not always deeply connected to them. If you value deep personal connections, consistent community, or the ability to physically be with friends and family, cruise living could challenge that part of you. There are still moments of beauty and meaningful interaction, of course, And you can absolutely build a support system through returning guests, crew members, or staying in touch online. But it requires more intentional effort than you might expect. So, is it worth it? Cruise life isn't for everyone. There are downsides that need to be taken seriously. But if those challenges don't scare you off, if they sound like manageable trade-offs for sunsets on the ocean, new ports every week, a life with no chores, and an adventure that never stops, then maybe, just maybe, it could be the perfect lifestyle for you. If this video helped you think things through, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment about which challenge you think would be the hardest or the easiest for you to handle. Thanks for watching, and no matter what you decide, I hope your next cruise brings joy, peace, and maybe even a little bit of clarity about your future at sea.